All right. How is it going, my magnificent sons of bitches? And I decided I wanted to go ahead and do a video. I kind of wanted to go ahead and combine this video with another rant that I had. So this is going to be like a 2 for rant that I'm going to do on all my social media pages. Not to be misunderstood, but I went to go see the Civil War movie just to see, you know, what it was about. Now, I'm not even sure what the box office draw was. We could tell that it was a cheap cash grab by a European. And the sheer fact is that his understanding of what a civil war in this country would look like is completely fucking inept to, he lives in London. Alex Garland lives in London, so he has no fucking clue except for what Tim Pool and Destiny say. Now, with that being said, for the most part, he had the right side winning, which I think was what was it? The WEF is what he named the alternative forces. In no way is it going to be the WEF. There's no way that this whole thing, the whole movie is set up so ridiculous, that is defies all logic. And there's no real explanation to how you get here. Whenever you're watching the movie, it doesn't really explain because you know what? California and Texas are kind of besties holding hands and shit. And you're talking about geopolitically two opposing forces in the United States as far as it pertains to ideology. How the fuck does California and Texas form an alliance? It doesn't really explain it. You know what I'm saying? Other than what probably happened was the little fucking British guy went ahead and looked up Wikipedia and said, well, California and Texas are the two most populous states. I mean, you're not going to really run the shit with like fucking Nebraska and, Idaho, And so, I mean, I get it for the purposes of excitement. But like I said, there needs to be some backstory into explaining how everything got so fucked up. You really don't get that. Basically, what this movie is, and I particularly think that this is what's wrong in Hollywood, with Hollywood as a whole, is that it's a bunch of elitist snobs giving themselves a bit more, stoicism, giving themselves some sort of valor that they likely will never earn. So, this story kind of, and whenever I'm going to go up and I'm going to explain how the Civil War would go down if we were to venture off into any kind of territory where it's going to be, civil unrest. You know what I'm saying? Where it's going to be a joint military effort. I'll tell you how it would go down, and it's certainly not like this. However, I guess Alex Garland doesn't really understand that the press really isn't well liked in much of the United States. So this is a bunch of elitist snobbists, press personnel. And like I said, to me, it just seems like a cash grab because first off, you got Kristen Dunst right there, and the most unlikable. You never form any kind of real bond with these characters or whatnot because it's really kind of hard to take any of them seriously. They're entitled, they're elitist, they pretend to care about each other, but for the most part, they kind of seem like sociopaths. I think that maybe Wagner, Mora, is probably the best one. He's the most compelling character because you don't know if he's kind of creepy, he's kind of weird, but sometimes he's kind of sincere, and he tries to be a leader and whatnot. So he captivates a little bit more of an aspect of somebody that you could maybe identify with, but really at the same time, it's just you don't really invest any real feelings for these motherfuckers at all the whole time. You have Kristen Dunst, and I can tell you right now that the casting of Kristen Dunst, and it made me fucking feel old as fuck watching Kristen Dunst, waddle her ass out there in her little fucking pantsuits. But we understand that Kristen Dunst is basically a play to Hillary Clinton. That's who they're trying to go ahead and get into your mind of who Kristen Dunst's character is. She's this rigid, tough female who all the females idolize supposedly, according to the movie. And she's just out there trying to get truth. She's out there trying to break the news stories. She's going out there, and they really try to paint, journalists, which, like I said, as a far cry from where we're at today in journalism. They try to paint journalists as heroes, basically. And we know that thing is anything other than the fucking truth. There's no way that a journalist is going to go out there in the middle of a fucking civil war, first off, and risk his own neck. If it's a fucking prop or a stage somewhere in, New York, they'll do the shit. They'll pretend, while they're putting on their helmets for a gas attack and shit like that. They'll do that shit, but they're not going to go into any real harm or hazard. We already know that basically everything in the media is pretty much kayfabe. That's why nobody really watches the media. They just don't have a good representation. It's not a good representation, to be honest with you, especially if you're doing a Civil War movie. So, you have this other girl come out, and she idolizes fucking Hillary Clinton Dunst. And basically, she tags along with them. And then there's this old black guy who works for the New York Times. And, you get a lot of these press passes and Reuters and all these other news aggregates that are thrown around a lot in the movie. This is how we could tell that it's not really talking about an actual civil war as much as it's out there trying to praise journalism for basically being entitled and self-centered and pretty much sociopaths. Because I guarantee you, every fucking character in this movie, to one degree or another, is a fucking sociopath. Like, has no fucking feelings. This is why it's hard to feel anything when one of them dies. You know what I'm saying? Even how they interact with each other is kind of drab, and and I understand that it's supposed to be a terrifying event and the Civil War is going around and stuff like that. But since we can tell that this guy is not from the United States, of course, you get the same old fucking cliche formula of them driving up through the South, and most of the people in the South are quite prejudiced and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Has nothing to do with it being some sort of, having standards, having some form of morality. Everybody's just racist, bigoted, and homophobe in the South. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you have we can go ahead and look at the dilapidating infrastructures in your own fucking country whenever we're talking about how morality and society has degraded over there in the UK, and you want to sit here and lecture everybody else and say, well, the South does this because they're bigoted and homophobe. That's kind of the way they try to set up the story. And, it's really kind of cringe because it's kind of cheap. Everybody does it. It's saturated. There's no real compelling storytelling. There was some good lines in there. There was stuff to like in the movie. There were some good character moments. Whenever the idiot journalist says, oh, we work for the press, and you have one of those soldiers over there saying, oh, I couldn't tell that by the word press on your fucking vehicle. And, he's like, well, who are you shooting at? Do you know which one it is? He goes, we're firing at somebody because they're fucking firing at us. And he goes, but do you know who he is? Oh, you kind of fucking retarded, right? And then he turns back to the female and he's like, what's over there in that house? Somebody shooting at us? See, she gets it. That was probably the coolest, most closest thing to a soldier as Alex Garland got as far as writing this movie. But then, of course, you get towards the end where they're ambushed, and I don't even really know at the end of the day what fucking side these soldiers were on, or if they were just looters or whatnot. But basically, they had a big deal with foreigners being in this country, and then they end up killing a few of their, actually probably, over half of their fucking party, got killed during this scene and whatnot. And, you're going up through the northern states. When they get up to the northern states, it's not racist. There's no war going on. They're just trying to avoid everything and pretend like it's not happening. Because guess what? They're socially correct, and they do everything that the UK likes. So, whenever they get up north, it's just like, just a few crazies, but basically they all live in peace with each other, which we know is completely ass fucking backwards whenever you look at Chicago and New York compared to the cities down south and whatnot, where we have actual laws. So I meant, they play this stuff until they get to DC. And ultimately, the Western Alliance forces, the party of, and this is one thing that I don't get. There, President says, "Oh, the South Carolina held off the Florida Alliance." So, is there a Florida Alliance here? It doesn't really go that much into it. I mean, I've seen the little map that you put out there. Nobody knows exactly what their goal in it is, and how come there's only like 2 stars on the flag because it's only Texas and California. You know what I'm saying? Because those seem to be the major draws. As far as it pertains to Europe, half the United States is Texas and the other half is California. Texas bad, California good, pretty much. And that's just how the Europeans see it. So, I mean, it says that, they say that, oh, yeah, the South Carolina forces. Now, I don't know Alex Garland, and I don't know what the fuck they teach in the UK, but South Carolina, before the first Civil War, threatened to secede. They were the first fucking state to threaten to secede from the fucking Union, So it would be kind of hard for me to imagine that South Carolina would be one of those states protecting. And like I said, when they get to South Carolina, holy hell, it's like the front. You know what I'm saying? All hell's breaking loose in South Carolina. And like I said, it's whenever you look at the UK, whenever you look at people that live in London and stuff, they live a very sheltered life. You get a lot of good fireworks shows and stuff like that, and that's what they think that this is all about and shit. But we can tell ultimately that they have no fucking clue about any kind of real military operations. A lot of them have never even saw a firearm yet shot one. If they did, they probably, did one cathartically and then never did the shit again because it had a fucking traumatic effect on them. So they're in an echo chamber. You know what I'm saying? They've been, sheltered their entire fucking lives. And this is why it's really kind of hard for them to create legitimate cinematic art these days. Because it's basically just virtue signaling, lecturing, and painting up a big fucking placebo that nobody can invest in because nobody's going to take it seriously. So, of course, the Western force this is probably one of the things that was the most accurate part of this fucking movie, was that the Western Front pushes into DC, they push in, and then they finally capture the president, and then ultimately at the end they pretty much kill the president, basically. So I'm assuming, right, that as far as Alex Garland goes, the president that is in office was supposed to be a representation of Donald Trump. They make an insinuation that he fired the FBI and a lot of the state departments, which we know that they're kind of trying to protect all those useless, frivolous fucking commie fucking SS type agencies that they have going right now. And, you can sit there and hear them mention a lot of this stuff that Donald Trump and really the Make America, again as a whole, which is a far bigger base than any of the fucking left have, which makes a little bit of sense that they would have a civil war, because it wouldn't be a civil war. It would just be a fucking utter annihilation. But it would make a little bit more sense with Donald Trump than, say, a Joe Biden or a Barack Obama right now, or a Hillary Clinton, because the left in this country, what you would consider the Labor Party, liberalism, is pretty much dead. They have killed themselves. They have dilapidated into just utter moral depravity. And, the current economic status is basically based on their legislations. So in the United States, the Democrats, the left, the liberals that you consider the Labor Party, they're not as popular as they are over there in your fucking left wing commie fucking UK. Just to be real with you. So, that was probably one of the things, but it wouldn't, whenever you're looking at a civil war, it's not going to be a civil war. It's not. In fact, it'd be up to me. Joe Biden would rig the fucking election. And then the Democrats would go ahead and steal this next election, go ahead and use the placebo of women's choice to influence this election. You go ahead and use that fucking placebo. And then you go ahead and fix this election. You go ahead and fix all these elections and take complete fucking control. That would be how I would, that would be a dream scenario, because I know fucking people have reached their limits. And by that time, we see, like I had, my fucking taxes went up this year. You know what I'm saying? I'm having to pay more into the fucking government for them to sit there and create fucking sock accounts to go ahead and troll on Twitter to go ahead and donate to fucking Ukraine. That's where my tax dollars are going. I want my fucking tax dollars back. I want my fucking government back. And if you're not going to fix my government, if you're not going to fix the fucking problems that you create, then guess what? We're going to have to sit there, take your ass out, and fix them ourselves. So I could tell you exactly how a civil war would go. And we're probably not too far off. Since nobody trusts the media, the press, right, that you have on your little show right there. Nobody trusts these motherfuckers. Leftists here in this country that still support the Democrat Party don't trust the media. And the right damn sure don't trust the media. And the independents and the people that are in the fucking know, the people who understand, the more intellectual fucking base that can see that you're fucking lying, don't see any fucking benefit into fucking buying into your fucking lie. Well, we're not going to support them neither. You know what I'm saying? Let these fucking radicalized motherfuckers form their lynch mob groups and do what they do. There's no reason for somebody who would be rational and pragmatic to get involved and to put my life on the line to go ahead and protect anybody in journalism or to protect anybody in DC, anybody in the fucking government. Why would I do that? That doesn't make any fucking sense, since you're trying to sit there and control and get rid of us and ban us and take away all our constitutional rights. It makes no fucking sense with this fucking base that you fucking radicalize, why I would go ahead and, go out to protect your ass. It doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. So the way it would go is, first off, we'll go ahead and take the Democrat Party, because if, Trump gets in, the sheer fact is that the United States is probably still going to collapse, that we're probably still not going to have a federal government. I think that they went too far with this fucking George Soros shit to go ahead and maintain any kind of sovereignty for the federal government, regardless if it's Biden, regardless if it's Trump. Trump would be the slow die. Biden would be the fast die. And I'm just going to tell you right now, that would be ultimately, for me personally, would be the best case scenario, because we still got 8 years of, inflation, 6 years. Sorry, 6 years of inflation that I'm guaranteeing of. You know what I'm saying? They're still wanting to print out money and send it to either Ukraine or Israel. So they're still trying to collapse your dollar. And we all know this to be whenever you look at the product coming out of these institutions, out of the schools and stuff, these kids are coming out cathartic, mad, depressed, anxious, as much of a nihilist as they can be. You know what I'm saying? So what's going to end up eventually happening is that whenever people get tired, when that shit finally hits the fan, it's not going to be a civil war like, there's not enough military to protect fucking DC. I'm just going to be real. And if, they did airstrikes, that would be the dumbest fucking thing that they could do, because once everybody gets their fucking guns together, they're going to go ahead and take over those bases. Then you're going to have them take over, maybe make up forward operating bases. Especially with these vets, they're going to get together. We're going to coordinate. We're going to sit there and systematically break down, and some of the people that were in Secret Service that have retired, that would be ticked off, because not everybody's going to be 100% behind this fucking tyrannical movement. It's not like China. It's not like fucking Cuba. It's not like it's not going to work. These revolutions are not going to work here. We've already told you to get your shit, get that shit out of the fucking Oval Office. Your media is dying. Your propaganda networks are dying. Your Red Army here in BLM has already failed. Nobody gives a fuck about your Antifa agitators at all. Nobody's buying into your psychological operations, your mass school shootings. That stuff is over. You have killed your own credibility. You have killed it. You know what I'm saying? That's never going to come back. You're never going to get the confidence for the state to come back right now as it is. So you're probably looking at approximately 4 to 6 million people that would support the state in its entirety. A lot of these people work into the state departments. And I'm not saying that everybody who works in the State Department is bad. You know what I'm saying? It's just like law enforcement. Not every cop is bad. So not every FBI agent is bad. Not every IRS. They're just trying to make a job. I understand. They may not like it. You know what I'm saying? However, a majority of them are going to be dependent on some way, shape, or form. Their livelihood is going to be dependent on government subsidies. That's exactly what it is. And a lot of them are going to be high-ranking members. They'll probably stay with DC and be loyalist to DC. And I can tell you, because I'm going to give you two scenarios that's going to happen. I'm going to give you the scenario that probably will happen, and the scenario that would happen if I was in charge and I was sitting here and I had a say. You know what I'm saying? What I would propose, I would like to see happen, which has never fucking happened, ever. But I'll go ahead and say how I would handle the situation. But what it's going to end up being like is much like it was whenever, because you got your little fucking scamdemics and shit going on. You've pushed your scamdemics. You've used this to go ahead and inflate stimulus. Now you can't get anybody to buy into your media. The people have lost media confidence. And in some way, shape, or form, these media propaganda lies have affected everybody's lives in some form or fashion negatively. You know what I'm saying? And so nobody's going to buy into your shit anymore. So the press going around saying that, we're going to go around and we're journalism and people are just going to support us and that would never happen, because the press would be the first ones that would be targeted, because everybody despises the press, and they'll see this, the collapse of society. They're going to see largely the first people to be attacked are going to be the propagandists, because they're going to be the easiest to get to. And the loyalists and the people that are in charge have no use for the propagandists. And whenever I say propagandists, I'm not only just talking about your media correspondents. I'm talking about the whole fucking realm of the administrators, the people who set this shit up. A lot of these people are going to be the first ones targeted. And the reason why, like I said, now this is in the real life scenario. This isn't in what I would do. This is just in the real life scenario. These motherfuckers are just going to come in. They're going to take over, and then they're going to summarily do what they did to fucking Mussolini, do what they did to fucking King Louis, to Marie Antoinette. This is going to be your punishment. Probably going to be a lot more horrific than that shit, but this is exactly what they're fucking going to do. This is what the radicalized mob, by the time that happens, so you better hope nothing ever happens to that fucking economy, because if it does, well, then there it goes. You know what I'm saying? It's going to pop off like that. And so, what's going to end up happening is that they're going to end up going over there and storming like the fucking Bastille. They're going to end up storming a lot of these fucking businesses and corporations and shit, because they already blame you. You know what I'm saying? And they'll blame you for sure then. So, then they're going to go after anybody else. So I can tell you right now, the president and a lot of those cabinet members, they may make it out. I'm not going to sit there and say, you're not going to get a Soros, and you're not going to get a lot of those World Economic Forum motherfuckers like Bill Gates, because they're going to be gone. They're going to be in an underground bunker hiding from the rest of the world. Which, ironically, if we go into a fucking revolution, the rest of the world goes into the revolution. America loses a lot of that military structure across the seas. And, the places in Iran and other things are just going to overrun those military installations, is what's going to happen. So it's going to break out globally. If it breaks out here, it's going to break out globally. One of the reasons is, and this is another fucking fallacy that Alex puts in there, is that the dollar crashed. So the dollar was kind of worthless. However, they were trading in Canadian currency. Unfortunately, the Canadian currency, in your currency too, is all connected to our dollar. And it's all backed by our military, pretty much. Our military backs your dollar. So whenever we go into a civil war, if we go into a revolution, which is exactly what this should have been called, um, then your dollar is going to crash. It's going to be worthless. You can wipe your ass with the fucking British pound because there's going to be no more United States military protecting your interest. So, anyways, that would be exactly kind of what would happen in a real world scenario. Because like I said, you look at these people, they're already radicalized. A lot of these people are already hoarding, gathering supplies, making, doing survival shit here. A lot of them are starting to prepare for a calamity, anyways, because guess what? Everybody's saying that it's going to be a calamity here, a calamity there. So they're already stocked up, buying a lot of fucking ammo, ready to go ahead and protect their own interests, particularly in the rural areas. Maybe a little, not so much in the suburban areas, so they're not going to be much of a problem if it is any kind of real world revolution. We don't have to worry about the inner city because, by the time we form up, as most of the military vets would, we'd already have an operation, and they wouldn't put up any real resistance, I don't think. Maybe a little bit. You're probably looking at maybe 40 to 50 people would resist any kind of real revolt. Because we're probably, if we're looking at Donald Trump's base, you're looking, let's just take 10%, you're looking at 7 million people, which the entire United States Army is 2 million people. So it's just double the United States Army. And so, just that they wouldn't stand much of a chance, particularly whenever you're talking about the way that the combat would happen. You're just not going to drive down the fucking road and say, there'd be fucking IEDs and shit like that everywhere, bodies and everything like that. So it'd be very, very detrimental and hazardous. It would be anything like that you've seen overseas happen. It's going to be 10 times worse because there's more people here. There's more land here, more infrastructure, more fucking to hide shit. And, I think that, with the bigger population of like 330 fucking million people, yeah, it's going to be pretty bad. It's going to be pretty bad. So I mean, this is kind of how it would happen. It would be more of a revolt. There would be nothing to stop this revolt from getting to DC. Now, 9 times out of 10, whatever fucking proxy they had in the White House is booking it to Europe. That's what's going to happen. Maybe booking it to fucking Italy or something like that. Booking it to Tel Aviv. Somewhere along there, they're booking it over there. I think that a lot of the people, if it would be my dream scenario, right, we capture these people. You're talking about, we'll say 6 million people. We'll put it at 6 million. Now, you know what? I'll go ahead and give them 10 million loyalists. Let's say there's 10 million loyalists over there that, if it's up to fucking the Trump base and stuff like that, these people would be executed. If it was up to the United States as a whole, I would say, that 80 million people that despise, then these people would probably ultimately be executed on sight, wouldn't have a possibility of a trial. Now, for me, how I would like to see it happen, and what I would suggest if I was given a position to where I could have a fucking opinion, my suggestion would be go ahead and do the tribunals, right? I can guarantee you a lot of people are going to look for capital punishment. However, with that being said, these people have robbed you. They have lived off the government tit. They've lived off the government dole. They have been basically like a fucking parasite to you and, getting benefits and taking care of at your expense and whatnot. Personally, I think that they should contribute something back. So what I would do is say, we're going to put them on tribunals, found guilty. All right. We don't kill you. You're not getting execution. You wanted to implement communism. You wanted to go ahead and take away our free rights. You wanted to go ahead and take away our free will. Okay. We'll give you what you wanted. You wanted communism. We're going to give you communism. We'll go ahead and take half of them, put them in a labor force, forced labor, working, manufacturing. So if, you're one of these people that are opening up some sort of, like say supermarket or something, if you're opening up a business, then guess what? You can go ahead and have these manufactured with your logo on it for free because we're going to have a workforce that's going to be able to manufacture the shit that you need. whether it's medicines, and they're going to be a manufacturing base. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to be used for that. That's all they're going to do. 12 hours a day, maybe give them one day off. Go ahead and give them a Sabbath because they don't like the Sabbath, and I would just do it just to irritate the fuck out of them. So we give them a Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, this is all their life consists of: going to work and then going home. We'll give you your health care. We'll go because you want to make sure that they're kind of technically like a slave class. You want to, but that's what you wanted, right? That's what you fucking want for everybody else. We'll make sure you get your health care. So we'll go ahead and make sure you're taken care of. We'll go ahead and give you your food. We'll go ahead and give you your water, your 3 hots and a cot, and make sure you're taken care of. But from now on, you're fucking forced labor. You're manufactured labor, just like those fucking people in China that are forced fucking labor. That's going to be for half of them. So 10 million, that would be 5 million people. They're going to be a manufacturing base. You wanted free electricity. You wanted clean electricity. You wanted clean energy and shit. Well, guess what the other 10 million people are going to do? You're going to generate that free electricity by operating generators and shit. So, your whole fucking 12 hours a day are going to be sitting there, much like they did, how they would, the fucking Romans would take people slaves and they would roll those fucking boats. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be generating free electricity for every fucking body. You are now generating clean, renewable energy because that's what you're going to be doing. That's how you're going to operate. And that's exactly what I would use these people for. You know what I'm saying? And, go ahead and contribute something back to society. So now you got free electricity because we have the 10 million or so, 5 million or so generating power for certain areas and whatnot. And then you have free manufacturing base. And so, you can get a big enough generator, and that's all they're doing. Kind of like doing the turbine energy, only they're doing it somewhere underground in a generator, and they're generating free energy. That's what they're going to do. We're going to use them as a generating energy, so you'll have free energy, you'll have a free manufacturing base, and that's how I would do it. But of course, like I said, more than likely, with whenever the shit pops off, nobody's going to stop and ask, oh, what should we do with these people? What should we do? Should we capture them? No, it's probably going to be 100% balls to the fucking wall, and it's going to probably be, the former choice, not the latter choice. It's not going to be my choice. So that's probably what's going to happen. That's in a real world scenario. That's what's going to happen. Your Temples and your fucking Destinies have no fucking clue what the fuck they're talking about. They're playing pretendo. They're never, even if there was a civil war, they would go and hide from it. Even if there was a World War III and there was a draft, you can guarantee you that these motherfuckers don't have the balls enough to go join the military and back up the shit that they say. Ever. They can only be in an... You seen what happened whenever somebody touched fucking Tim Pool's fucking hoodie? This motherfucker blew the fuck up and then started to fucking cry. And Destiny's not much fucking better. He cries over every fucking thing. Any kind of spilt milk, this motherfucker's crying. So, no, there's nothing that's, going to happen. Whenever that shit happens, right? When the shit happens, then all shit's going to hit the fan. All shit's going to hit the fan. And, ultimately... it's not going to be these states are going to be loyalists. It's going to be a percentage of people that will probably flock to DC. They'll probably run to DC. It's not, like I said, the media is going to be the first ones taken because they're going to be targeted number one. It's just the easiest to get to. So if you're thinking that the press is going to be seen as some sort of heroic, virtuous type of, chronicler, that's going to chronicle, that's not going to happen. Not this press, not the media. Nobody likes them here. Nobody likes them here. And in a civil war scenario, that would never happen. It's not going to happen. So anyways, yeah, I figured I would do a review and I would go and give my take and explain exactly what would really happen. Like I said, the guy is from London, so he doesn't really understand how our politics work in this country. And how that paradigm has shifted all the way radically right to where we're actually this close to becoming a theocracy. And then when we become a theocracy, that's going to affect your country too in London. Because I can guarantee you, once we go ahead and swing to that theocratic right, then they're going to have to clean up your fucking legislatures, your fucking policies. and your fucking laws in that country, because your dollar is backed by our fucking military, regardless of what they say. If we're not there to protect your ass over there in the UK and in Europe, then effectively all that shit you're starting with Russia, Vladimir Putin would probably just walk right over and then just take over that whole fucking country with as much problems, and I wouldn't fucking blame him if he did. So I mean, it is what it is. Y'all have been stirring the fucking shit for so long. So yeah, that's exactly how a civil war, an actual civil war, that the fucking tools on YouTube try to pretend like they're going to start. Hassan Piker and all these other motherfuckers that sit there and blow smoke out their fucking ass and get on their Twitch and play video games and think that they're doing some for real shit and that they could fight a real war. That's how the real civil war. People like me, I don't even know if I would even give a fuck, one way or the other. I might get involved if it came to me, but that would be about it. Other than that, I don't even know why I would even go out there and get involved. I just go ahead and let the two sides go ahead and fight, and then we get winner, basically. Because that's the way I've been telling my army buddies that it should go, is that, fuck it, let them fight let the left and the right fight a civil war. This is what my opinion to the fucking, to my fellow fucking, to my fellow vets. You know what I'm saying? Let the left and the right go ahead and fight a civil war, and then we'll take winner. Whoever's left, we'll take, which is going to be the right. But it is what it is. We'll take winner. Whenever y'all get through, y'all start running that stupid. But like I said, ultimately what would end up happening is that once you get these people together, and you get, especially the military guys, once they start fighting a war, then they're not going to want to stop. It's not going to stop in the United States. It's going to spread over into Canada, Mexico, and then it's going to go all over the world. Like I said, if the United States goes down, that's what's going to happen. So you're going to have a big change in every fucking country. And there's going to be because why? Like I said, the dollar backs much of the world's economy and whatnot. So there's going to be there's probably closer to more civil unrest and uprising in a civil war in Canada than there is in the United States right now with Trudeau running that motherfucker. And I'm not sitting there trying to sit there and say that Biden is better than Trudeau, but fucking Trudeau has a lot more power to do the Obama shit. He's more of an Obama than Biden is. And the Canadians that I know personally don't really fucking like the shit, and they're getting tired of the shit. And so, I see more outrage. So, like, Canada's probably closer to a civil war right now, but that doesn't mean come 2024, that shit can't pop off just like that. It really can. It really can. So, anyways, I figure I would go ahead and do this video. Y'all people tell me what you think. You like, sub, do the shit the internet tells me to do to get over. And for now, I'm out.